Good morning. Welcome into the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 1059 The Zone. Great weather for our college baseball coaches, regardless of level, so far this week. Getting in some good practices, the weather cooperating. You never know this time of year. And we're not but a week and a half away from opening day, which is super exciting in this state. We want to welcome in the head baseball coach at Ole Miss. He is Mike Bianco. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Coach, how about this weather today and yesterday?
Unbelievable. And we've had some great weather, since the snow and then the rain. Probably the last week or so, it's been pretty nice here. Particularly for January and early February in Mississippi. So we've been lucky.
Yeah, no doubt. So you're a week and a half away. How close are you there? Are you super close, or are the next 4 days and a couple of scrimmages huge to decide who could be in your starting rotation for opening day weekend?
Great question, and I think it starts to get narrowed down a little bit, with the rotation piece. But I think as college baseball coaches, when the ramp-up time really for everybody is 3 weeks before the season starts, I think it's all critical. I think every day that you have, and like you said, the weather is important. Unfortunately for us, the weather with the ice and the rain, our guys weren't able to get out. And even throw outside and do some things. But, we're blessed to have some great facilities here. And so we're able to get into the Manning Center, able to do some things in our facility to make up for that, you think, hopefully. But again, I think every day that you have to practice when it's only, 3 weeks. And remember, in the 3 weeks, 3 of those days don't count. You can't have them because you have to have a day off. They're all very critical.
Mike Bianco on the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 1059 The Zone. Who are the 4 or 5 guys competing for it right now, Coach?
I think, some of them are obvious. I'm sure, our fan base realized that, Xavier Rivas, we lost him this past weekend, unfortunately to that, epidemic of the UCL, tear. And, it's unfortunate and you feel for him. And obviously it's a big blow to our staff, but some of the other guys I think are, that people know from last year, JT Quinn and Grayson Saunier, 2 guys that were highly touted freshmen last year. And unfortunately, for them and us, we there was the one position that we were very thin at the beginning of the year. And then when you add in an injury to Hunter Elliott, those guys getting thrusted to the front with Rivas, we just weren't good enough or deep enough, to sustain, too much from that. And, but those guys are much better for going through that. It's not, I don't think anybody that dreams about going through that, but they're much better for it and have pitched great, this fall and have pitched great this early spring. So those are 2 guys, two other names that, people, probably don't know as much about are Riley Maddox, one of our pitchers that's coming off of an injury from the 2022 season, has pitched great. And then also Gunnar Dennis, a junior college transfer from Meridian Community College. And then some transfers, Liam Doyle, Kyle Carmack, some others.
Let's talk Riley Maddox, Mike Bianco on the Out of Bounds Show. This young man has big-time talent. Sounds like you're excited about him. Talk about the maturation process for him and what he's looked like the last 3 weeks, Coach.
Well, last year, again, was a tough year for everyone. But, Riley was coming off, surgery and was able to pitch, the last few weeks of the season. And again, probably not the way you designed it, but maybe in retrospect, maybe the best thing for him. So he comes out and he ends up, pitching a few weeks for us and probably, again, not how he would love for it to have happened. And, it wasn't easy. And coming off surgery is never easy. And he kind of battled his way through the end of the last season. But I think in doing so, to be honest with you, Bo, I think it really helped him this fall. And that was, our hope. That, it wouldn't be the guy that's just coming off surgery, because he actually did pitch last year, right? And so, when he came to this fall, he came with, I think, a new mindset, and he's been terrific. He had a really great fall for us. Obviously, I imagine a lot of your listeners remember him from his high school days at Jackson Prep.
Absolutely.
He's a guy that, as a true freshman on a 22 team, pitched out of the bullpen, and we weren't sure what his particular role would be this year. Certainly a big bullpen piece, but even an opportunity, I think, that he'll probably get a start either an opening weekend or maybe in the midweek.
Mike Bianco on the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Swayze will be packed this spring and summer. A lot of excitement around the Ole Miss baseball team. With Quinn and Saunier, is it like night and day going through a year, getting to go play summer ball, another fall camp, watching those guys progress and grow up in front of you and the staff, Coach?
Yes and no. I think our fans know that they pitched great last fall and they pitched great early spring. But there's something to be said, not just for the talent, but the experience of being able to get through the Southeastern Conference. And then when you look at the history, just our program, if you're an Ole Miss fan, but you can pick any program in the Southeastern Conference. Rarely do freshmen come in and start immediately, especially pitchers on the weekend. And there's guys that have had great freshman years and became All-Americans. But even Lance Lynn was in the bullpen when the season started. Drew Pomerantz was in the bullpen their freshman year when he started. Doug Nikhazy was in the bullpen his freshman year when he started. Ryan Rollison, who the next year was a first-round draft pick. So a lot of guys, didn't start, on the weekend, and they kind of got to cut their teeth, either in the bullpen or in a midweek start, and eventually showed, and through their progression and as the season, continued, worked their way to becoming a weekend starter. And that wasn't the case. We just weren't in a position for that to happen. They were the best guys that we had available. They're super talented. And so they got thrusted into those weekend starts and to no fault of their own, it was rough, and it was kind of a tough way to learn, but to your point, I think that's helped them. And, when you look at them, and I don't know physically if they're a ton different, they've continued to improve, but I think the biggest, maturation is just, mentally and just knowing that, what they're about to entertain over the next, 3 or 4 months. I think they're excited about trying to do it again.
Do you feel like, I know you've been there since 2001. I've been interviewing you since 2003. I started Sports Talk Radio, which is crazy. We've been doing this a while,
for
Coach.
A while. Yeah.
But and so I know you've had all sorts of different teams and you've won with all sorts of different teams. But do you feel like when you walked out fall ball, there was a lot of new faces, Coach?
Yeah, we got 23 new faces. So you'll have 40 guys on the roster, and 23 of them will be new faces, and so that's but. That would normally give you, a little, anxiety, I think, as a coach, a little worry that we have that many new faces. But one of the things that the transfer portal has done is they're not all new to college baseball, and even in years past where you may have, some of those kids may be junior college kids, but they've never played at this level. We have 7 transfers, that have played at, the Division I level and have had success. And so of those 23 new faces, 7 of them are, Division I college baseball players, and, anywhere from sophomores up to a 5th-year senior. And so, that's been good for us. And I think when I look out on the roster, even though some of our system stuff, as you know, you can feel it when you're practicing and going over things. We have a lot of guys that have never heard, some of these things that we're going over in the fall and even into early spring, but they've played at this level. And once you start inter squad, you can see that we're not the young team, and,
right.
and when you look at the classifications, freshman through senior, not that it's evenly divided, but it's almost 10 guys per class. And so, it's not like we got 23 freshmen, like you may have, on a football team.
Right.
I mean, they're pretty spread out.
He is Mike Bianco on the Out of Bounds Show, national championship coach. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. You're listening to ESPN 105.9 The Zone. All right, people are excited about this guy. Tell me about the Arizona State transfer, Luke Hill.
Yeah, Luke, we got Luke out of the transfer portal and really just days after the Major League draft this past summer when we lost Cooper Pratt, one of our prize recruits, to the Major League draft. And knew about him in high school, but he was kind of one of those late bloomers in high school where we had already committed some people and we weren't really recruiting a shortstop at that time. And he goes to Arizona State and had a terrific freshman year. And but like a lot of, I'm sure, fans get excited about transfers and they get excited about recruits, but you just don't know until you get them on campus and you start to watch him compete. But he's been sensational. He really has from defensively to offensively. I don't know if we could be more excited, about a new kid coming into the program and having to play, a premium defensive position after losing a first rounder this past year in Jacob Gonzalez at shortstop. And Bo, as well as I do, how many, great shortstops that we've had through the years, from Kessinger to Errol Robinson to Video, Cozart. This kid's going to fit right into, that group of young men. We're super excited about him.
Wow. Okay, that's high praise from Mike Bianco on the Out of Bounds Show. And yes, Jacob Gonzalez was worth the price of admission. What a player. How much fun was it to coach him, Mike?
It was a lot of fun, and it wasn't difficult. Sometimes, sometimes you just let him go, and Jacob was kind of like that from the beginning, but I will tell you, one of the things you always respect about, the great players, and it wouldn't matter if it was Jacob or Kessinger or Cozart, they didn't need a lot of coaching. They were great when they got here. But if you did have something to say to them, man, you could see the laser focus and them just trying to understand and be able to do it. So my point being very coachable. And that's what makes them great. And Jacob was that. I mean, sensational player, and everything that you saw, from the media standpoint, from a fan standpoint, is certainly true. But he's a terrific team guy and just wanted to get better. Wanted to help his team, win. And those guys are a pleasure.
How awesome was it for you to see Kessinger make it up so fast? Okay.
Really cool. And, not only, it's always great when it's, a player in your program, and certainly you're proud, and for them to reach, maybe the ultimate goal, in their sport. But when it's a local kid, right? It's a kid that, grew up here in Oxford, a kid that, I remember when he was, probably, 7, 8 years old, was playing flag football with my kids here in Oxford. And so it's a kid that you watch grow up, certainly the lineage, with the family and all the success that, Donnie has had and his dad and his uncle Keith. And it was really, really neat.
The Tim Elko statue, who broke it to, I got to ask you this because Jason, my executive producer who called you, is an Ole Miss alum. He just graduated from Ole Miss last May. And he was there when y'all won it. And obviously, how cool is it for students to go through Ole Miss or Mississippi State or wherever and see their team, win a national championship and all that. So, who broke it who told Elko that he was getting the statue, Mike?
I don't know that. That's a good question. I don't know that answer.
Okay.
I guess probably I would say Keith Carter when we had the parade here a few days afterwards, and then we had the celebration on the field, and he brought Tim out and made him help. I guess some people probably thought he was joking, but I don't think some people were. So it's happening.
All right, I gotta go back to the pitchers real quick. Mike Bianco on the Out of Bounds show. Who is your alpha in the pitching staff?
Wow. And sometimes, and this is probably not what people want to hear, when you don't return that alpha, you have to wait till that alpha emerges, right? That ace, that guy that, man, give that guy the ball and just let him go. I don't think in 22, on February 7th, if I would have said Dylan DeLucia, he's our alpha. He's the guy. Him and Hunter Elliott are going to be the two guys that are going to get us to Omaha. And people would go, who? Who are these guys? And it took them, probably a half a season to emerge. But once they became those guys, they were real dudes. I would say if I had to answer right now, I think I say, JT Quinn. Just because, of his attitude, because of where, what he did last year and what he was able to go through last year, and then to watch him, this fall. But there's going to be others. And for us to have success, we need others.
Sure.
We need others to be able to be those guys. And so, some of the guys we've already mentioned, I think you're going to see the improvement. You're going to see those guys be able to have success, at this level. And then, Mallets is back. There was one question I thought you would ask. He's pitched the last couple weekends at inter-squad games and has done well. And, I'm excited, for him. Obviously, Mason Nichols, another Jackson Prep guy that played with Riley and pitched in Omaha in 22, was an integral part in that run at the College World Series, and guys had a big jam in Game 1 of the championship, and pitched on the USA national team a couple of years, and so there's some guys that I think are waiting to be that alpha, but we're going to have to wait till the season kind of progresses.
All right, I love that. Last one, Coach Bianco. Here we go. I'll take it over to the everyday lineup.
Okay.
I think I may know the answer, but who's the dude in your everyday lineup, or has that yet to, come to fruition or emerge?
Well, you got nine guys, but we really like the team, and we really like the offense. When we started, and 4 transfers that you mentioned, one in Luke Hill. But there's 3 other transfers, and Andrew Fisher, sophomore from Duke, that really, really can hit. Jackson Ross, a 5th-year kid from FAU that hit 400 last year with 20 home runs, and the most highly ranked in preseason All-American, the most highly ranked transfer in that class is a kid by the name of Trayson Hughes that plays outfield, center field, right field. We got probably the highest ranked catcher to get to high school, and Campbell Smithwick. So we have some position players that we really feel good. But I think one of the things, not just with the pitching staff, but with the position players, and not to take Hawaii or anybody we play lightly, but that's part of what this is trying to figure out what that best team is by the time we get to South Carolina in March. And so we'll play some different lineups. We'll play some guys at some different positions because even though we've been in the fall and early spring, it's different when the lights come on, as we all know. And we need to find out, using your phrase, who are the alphas this year.
Great point. I've talked to so many SEC baseball coaches, and they all kind of frame it up the same way as you did. Who can do it in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning on Friday night in conference play? And then we'll leave it there. Mike Bianco on the Out of Bounds show. Coach, thanks so much for your time today. We hope to catch up again soon in a month or so.
Appreciate it, but always enjoy it.
Mike Bianco, head baseball coach at Ole Miss, national championship coach in 2022. He joined us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Bundle your car and home and save with your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. Are you excited?
Yeah, I love Nichols coming back. Also, getting to talk to Coach is just really cool as an all-time, Ole Miss guy.
It should be.
But I'm excited about Nichols, Saunier. I really didn't know the full extent of the injuries that Ole Miss had at pitching again.
Yeah.
With Xavier Rivas out just over the weekend. And I didn't know that was guaranteed yet until Coach said it. So the UCL tear for him. I do look forward to Riley Maddox.
Riley Maddox can deal.
Yeah.
Hell of a player. Both those guys you just referenced from Jackson Prep. Maddox can go. He threw a little bit at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
7-8 months stronger, wiser, and completely healthy, ready to roll.
Yeah.
I think Bianco made a good point on Quinn and Saunier. They proved that they could compete and pitch last year, so you got to be excited about that. We'll see what happens at that third spot. He used the term sensational. I've interviewed Mike Bianco many a times, and he doesn't just give out praise and props.
Yeah.
Arizona State transfer, Luke Hill at shortstop. And, there's big shoes to fill coming off of Gonzalez and Kessinger.
Mm-hmm.
And he
Servideo.
Yeah, absolutely. And he used the word sensational. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah. And you go back and you look at the list of shortstops that he's coached. We talked about the greats, but then even Errol Robinson, who played at Ole Miss.
He was one of my favorite.
Was
phenomenal player.
He was so good. He's in AAA now, still doing
He's been knocking on the door.
Yeah. Yeah, but when you've had that kind of talent and then you call a transfer sensational, and us Ole Miss people, we're about to lose it.
That's true. Y'all can get hyped in a red hot second.
No doubt.
What'd you say? There was some song that you mentioned.
Love is Gone.
Love is Gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, we haven't been doing it as long as I thought we have. I thought it was like a double decade long thing, but it's I think 13 years, something like that.
Oh, okay.
But still, huge deal. I'm so excited for baseball season.
Are you going to make it to Swayze?
Got to.
Okay.
Of course. At least I think I'm going to make it to Davis Wade for opening weekend.
Duty Noble.
Yeah, Duty Noble. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, I think I'll make it to the dude for opening weekend and go with Miranda and her family.
That'll be good too.
So
you can catch a little bit of Starkville and Oxford this spring.
Got a lot of baseball.
Both are going to be packed.
No doubt. Maybe I should try to squeeze into the student section at Ole Miss just one more time.
You want to get into that beer shower?
Yeah. No umbrella.
Or beer showers?
Yeah, just bring it all,
Yeah.
You would enjoy that.
I wouldn't. I don't want anybody to pour beer on me.
Come on.
I'm good.
It's fun. You get to go home and shower.
But you need to do it and get video.
Okay.
Of you.
Like point of view, like POV, I'm in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just
you got to get a buddy to video the whole thing.
Get absolutely drenched.
You got to time it right. Well, you'll figure that out. Cinnamon rolls were great. And lunch today is brought to you by the Ribs and Blue Plates at Fleetway Market and the Market Cafe in Gluckstadt. If you missed anything, our podcast is on Apple Podcast and Spotify. Search Out of Bounds with Bow Bounds. If you're in the market for a grill, FS1 Concepts in Pearl has PK Grills. That's FS1 Concepts in Pearl has the PK Grills, and they're awesome. We'll see you tomorrow.